Welcome to Between the Sheets, the non-judgmental podcast where we're going to cover various sexual health and wellness topics. I'm your host, Dr. Stephanie Zwonitzer. I'm a urology and sexual health nurse practitioner, and I love helping my patients and listeners discover and develop their most satisfying sexual experiences. Between the Sheets is here to normalize the conversations about sexual health and cover everything from basic anatomy to the most taboo topics and everything in between. Real talk, real pleasure, one episode at a time. So come on, let's get between the sheets. This episode is sponsored by Boston Scientific and its educational website on erectile dysfunction, edcure.com. One study estimated that more than 50% of men over the age of 40 have some degree of erectile dysfunction, which can be frustrating and confusing. Go to edcure.com to find information on erectile dysfunction and treatment options, including long-term treatment options offered by Boston Scientific. Boston Scientific does not endorse any statements or opinions expressed during this episode. Welcome back to Between the Sheets. I am really excited for this episode because it's not very often that I get to interview someone that I know in real life. Usually I find people online or wherever else, but I know Jesi Stracham. I'm so excited to have her here today. So Jesi is a paraplegic and had a motorcycle accident. I'll let her tell her story, but we're going to kind of talk through some of the challenges she has faced in sexual medicine side of her life since her accident. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really stoked to be here. This is
Yeah.
finally
Yay.
we made it happen. I think we
We
met
did.
almost a year ago now, and
Yes.
I found out you had a podcast, and I was like, "Put me in, coach," especially because it's about one of my favorite topics.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So get everybody up to speed. You were living this amazing, wonderful, crazy life and then had this traumatic event. So kind of talk people through that so they know who you are and what you've experienced.
Yeah, so I grew up racing off road on a four-wheeler. I took it for granted. My parents literally let me live my dreams, and I just kind of squandered it away. I was more boy crazy than anything.
Many of us were.
Yeah, I know. I took it a little too far. I grew up without my mom. She was an over-the-road truck driver, and so in my adult years, in reflection, I understand that I was seeking love and validation from the opposite sex, and so I actually started having sex around 13 years old
Mm,
and quickly became like a fox chasing chickens when it came to men. I was like, I want the
yeah.
attention. I crave the attention. I love sex. I love the feeling of it. I love the intimacy. I just love the whole experience. And it quickly turned into a little bit of an addiction.
Mm,
Where
yep.
when I was a passenger on a motorcycle, it was with somebody that I had been using for sex, and a woman made a U-turn in front of us, and he just didn't stop in time, and
Mm,
so he went through the back window, broke his leg. I went over the SUV, broke my back in 2 places, and my chest collapsed, my ribs punctured my lungs, nicked my spinal
mm.
cord. I have a traumatic brain injury, and I coded twice, had to be resuscitated. So the fact
Oof.
I'm even sitting here today is a blessing in itself, but
Yes.
I remember the first time I woke up and the nurse was between my legs, and this is like my first real coherent memory by myself.
Hmm.
And she was cathing me, and I didn't understand what she was doing, and I couldn't feel her. And I remember panicking. I'm like,
Mm,
"What are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, honey, I'm cathing you. I'm draining your bladder." I was like, she's like, "You're paralyzed." I'm like, "Well, the bathroom, why can't I just go to the bathroom? I know my legs don't work, but why
right.
can't I use the bathroom like a normal person?" And that was my first face with reality of, "Whoa, I didn't feel someone between my legs, and I can't use the bathroom like a normal person."
Wow. That had to be so scary. I can't even imagine.
As soon as she left the room, and I talk about this in my book, as soon as she left the room, I started touching myself, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I have no sensation." So I started Googling and joining support groups, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what does this mean? What is a
Yeah.
spinal cord injury?" Because she's like, "You have a spinal cord injury." And I'm like, "I
Mm.
don't know what that is."
Right. Right. Wow. I cannot even imagine waking up and like that's your first introduction to your new life.
Yeah. It went from, I was intubated for a while, family coming and going, and I remember them, but that was my first, coherent memory of
Yeah.
finding out that I was paralyzed, and I'm like, "Holy moly, I
Yeah.
lost all sensation." And so with that, I lost a little bit of self-worth,
Sure.
and it's interesting how often we'll put our worth into our appearance, and then for me, it
Hmm.
was my genitals, and I'm like, "This is what makes me a valid human and
Right.
wanted and liked and loved," and it couldn't have been further from the truth. And so in hindsight, getting paralyzed was actually a great thing. It saved me
Mm,
from me, and it taught me to love myself and really to love the person within more than that exterior appearance and the
yeah.
sensation and sex.
Right, right. And that's a beautiful thing. And you are a beautiful human. So tell me, have you gotten any feeling back? Do you have anything that you can say goes on down there?
Oh, yeah. So I definitely feel penetration now.
Okay.
Certain times of the month, depending on where I'm at in my cycle, I can actually feel stimulation, which is like
Okay.
touch as a whole, which is really cool. Sometimes I feel the catheter. Most of the time, I feel bowel movements,
Okay.
which is interesting. And I do now feel when I have to go, where when I was first injured, I felt absolutely nothing.
Mm,
And I really didn't get much of that type of sensation back until recent years. So
ok-
January 2015 will be, or 2026 will be 11 years I've been paralyzed.
Wow.
I've been paralyzed since January 2015. And in the last like 3, 4 years, I've definitely gotten more than the first few. And I'm really
Okay.
like, that's such a blessing. And it's my lifestyle. I'm non-conventional when it comes to the lifestyle. I eat clean, drink plenty of water. I use peptides, research with my rats.
Yeah.
I feel like that's done a huge help along with using modalities like PEMF and Vibex.
Hmm.
Those things have also helped me a lot. But when it comes to sex, like my partner now and I, man, we have a great sex life, which is really enjoyable, but it took a long time to get there. And I think you just have to be willing to explore, especially as a woman, because there's so much more to pleasure than penetration. And as
Hmm.
women, we're conditioned to believe that penetration's the end of all ends.
Yeah.
And when you lose sensation from middle of the nipples down, it was my initial sensation loss. So the bottom of my boobs were a little sensitive. My bra line as a whole, very sensitive, still is to
Okay.
this day. And so when you lose that, it's like, okay, I gotta find other areas to stimulate to try and just even get aroused. Because I'm sorry, that good old finger blast that you would do, that's not gonna do it for me anymore. Like
Right.
we gotta do a little something. You gotta kiss me or something, man. And
Right.
it really teaches you what works and what doesn't. But then I would get vibrators and different type of stimulation and
Hmm.
really just try to see what I could feel. And for a while, I would check in with my lady bits, but a penis feels so different than a vibrator. And
Yeah.
so sometimes the vibrator is the better option. Sometimes just a penis with the sensation's a better option. But it's being willing to explore those things. And I think we're not. And man, in my 11 years, I've had paralyzed, non-disabled sex, and I've had paralyzed sex, where I've had sex with another paraplegic. And that
Mm.
is interesting.
I was gonna say, like, I think it was gotta be difficult enough because you know how my brain works. You're very similar to me. And so as you're talking here, I'm sitting here trying to picture your partner moving your legs for you to get you into positions to do different. So then how do you do that with another paralyzed person?
Oh my gosh, it was no, oh my gosh. So he was super the one that I was with, so I've been with 2 paralyzed people. The
Okay.
first one was when I attempted 3. The first one was when I was first paralyzed. We had both been paralyzed less than a year when we
Mm,
started trying, and so it was sloppy, it was exploratory. Half
yeah.
the time his penis didn't work, and that's okay, and he could not ejaculate.
Okay.
The second person ended up being a really good friend later on in life, and it was just fun and just playing around, and he would take Viagra and it wouldn't work, and then, and we never did actually try again after that because our friendship just became too good, and so I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, we need to not explore that road anymore." But
Yeah.
then in recent years, like 4 years ago now, I messed around with a guy for about 8 months who was incomplete.
Okay.
So he was a very low level injury. He was in the lumbar region and
Okay.
incomplete. So he could tall kneel, do all the things, throw like it was nuts. This dude was like a non-disabled dude and he was hung like a freaking horse. And I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, this thing is huge. You're gonna break me. Golly." And then but he would allow me to do interesting positions to figure out
Okay.
what I liked and what I didn't. And
Mm,
my time with him was when I first started getting sensation back. So it was really
okay.
just the perfect timing for that exploration. But
Yeah.
man, he had this ottoman and he would have me get on the ottoman and then he would tall kneel. And
Okay.
then like I'd be able to get doggy, but without
Okay.
me having to be doggy.
Yeah.
And then like getting on top was very interesting because he would have to help me because I didn't have
Sure.
a lot of hip control at that time. So logistically, you think that sex is going to be kind of easy, but
Hmm.
it's not when you don't have core or hip control and you're like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to balance my body, figure this out, even with somebody who's non-disabled, like my partner now, he throws my like, a lot of times, we either do stomach, side, or back.
Okay.
When I'm on my back, he'll throw me my legs, and I hold my legs up, and I'm just like it's a whole experience. And I'm just on my
That's amazing.
legs, like, just hanging out, and
Yeah.
so good. It's fun. It's so fun. And think of, my best friend, she's paralyzed and her boyfriend's also paralyzed. And they just got this chair. I can't is it called the Easy Glider, I think? It's
Okay.
for paralyzed people specifically to be able to have sex. And he had been paralyzed since a kid. So he's like, I can't wait
Wow.
to do this thing and do it like these non-disabled guys.
Yeah.
And they tried it and she's like, okay, we're gonna have to like play with this a little bit. We
Right.
laughed a lot. It was a lot of fun, but
Yeah.
there's a lot more to it. And I think a lot of times we think with our non-disabled brain when it comes
Mm.
to sex with people with disabilities, and it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it will be logistically, it's gonna be easy," and I'm like, "Oh, wait, it's not that easy for me."
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine. Wow, that is interesting. And so, okay, so you said on your back, on your belly, or on your side is generally the best for you to kind of get into position and everything.
Yeah.
Have you found and I'm sure you talk to other paralyzed people. Have you found that consistently with other people or is it really individualized?
It is individualized, but that is pretty consistent, especially the
Okay.
back and stomach. It's terrifying. I'm kinda scared to get on top now. Honestly, I'm terrified to get on top now. I've had
Yeah.
3 friends since that, experience with the paralyzed guy who have broke their femurs getting on top,
Oh,
and that
okay.
scares me, and I don't know how they did it, but I just know they were on top, riding
Yeah.
their men, and I'm like, "Okay, I can't. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm just I'm not even risking that. That's terrifying." And
Yeah,
so
because
I
I would
avoid
imagine your leg bones aren't as strong as they would be if you were walking, right?
that.
Because you're not putting as much weight and bearing and all the things.
Correct, and we're women and, like, women,
Yeah.
right? Our bone density declines as we age, something that I don't think a lot of us realize until we're, like, in our 40s or 50s, and
Mhm.
we're like, "Oh, now I should worry about my bone density," but really, this preventative care should start happening in your
Right.
30s,
Right.
and I'm very hyper aware of it, so I do get a DEXA scan every 2 years just to see where my bone density is. I'm actually due for one now. The last time I went, I was borderline osteopenia, which
Mm.
is scary in itself because now if I fall or I twist the wrong way or I
Yep.
get up, there's a chance that
Right.
I could break my legs, and I'm just like and then not know.
Right.
Which now with my sensation, I might know, but
Yeah.
there's still that chance. I'm like, I'm just not willing to risk that for the biscuit.
Yeah. Such a good way to put it. I love that. I love that. Are there, so you mentioned this easy chair. Are there other kind of apparatuses that help for paralyzed people to have good sex?
Oh, yeah, there's swings, pillows, like putting a pillow under your
Mm.
hips.
Mhm.
Especially when on my stomach, I'll put a pillow under my hips just to get that little bit of lift because I
Yep.
don't have it as much. But it's just honestly being willing to explore what's gonna work for your body and trying different
Yeah.
things. And the most important thing is having a partner open to that. Like,
Mhm.
I think that's hard to come by because a lot of times we think that men are gonna be closed-minded, and it's you gotta have that friendship before. And I
Yeah.
will say about my current relationship, like, that man was my best friend for a solid year, no contact. He's actually the first person I've ever dated that I didn't have sex with before dating them.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we have a solid like, we had a year friendship before we got together, and even when he drives me nuts, he's still just my best friend in the whole world, like, he's the
Yeah.
coolest dude, and he's so open, so understanding, so kind. I will say this, I got a skin infection that left an open wound, and that's definitely taken a toll on our sex life, so
Mhm.
old dude's getting a lot of blowjobs right now. But also, as a paraplegic, sometimes I just don't feel like doing all the things because it is a little
Sure.
extra work, a little extra steps. So that man actually does get a lot of blowjobs to begin with.
Excellent. Excellent. That's great. See, there's options.
There's so many options, and sometimes listen, when we first got together, he went down on me one time, and I was like, "I mean, that's cool, but I don't it's not the it doesn't really do anything for me. It's cool, but thanks, I guess."
Thanks. That's great. That's so funny. One of the other things that I know happens for some paraplegics is the autonomic responses. So I've heard patients who have had really scary things happen when they've had orgasms. So can you talk to me a little bit about that?
It's terrifying. So autonomic dysreflexia
Mhm.
is, we call it the 4 Ps: pain, poop, pee, pleasure.
Okay.
Those are the 4 things that are gonna cause you AD, and, personally, I don't get it with pleasure, I do get it with pain is what I
Okay.
found, and if I am very backed up bowel-wise, then I'll get it then, but those are the
Okay.
only times I've ever experienced it in my injury. But some people, man, they get off or they're getting the pleasure in the middle of the activity, their blood pressure
Mm.
goes nuts, they'll get a gnarly headache, you can get a stroke from it, and you're just like,
Wow.
"Oh my god, could you imagine getting a stroke from having sex?" Like,
Right? That reminds me of the do you remember the Jack Nicholson movie, and he had the heart attack, and she whips out the I think it was Diane Keaton, and she whips out the blood pressure cuff and starts doing his blood pressure during sex. Okay, we're good.
that's how it would be. We gotta
Oh,
get the
that's
thing out, now it'd be like the modern day one that you just push the button,
right,
it
push the
blows
button.
up, right? But yeah, you'd have to get that bad boy out, and I think
Right?
anyone that experiences like, if you are a paraplegic and listening to this and you during your arousal and getting off, you start to get a headache and things like that, you might wanna take your blood pressure after like, immediately after the act
Yeah.
just to be sure that you aren't experiencing AD, and I don't even know, personally ways to combat that because I've never had it from that side of
Yeah.
things, just the pain, and I first have experienced it with pain with this wound, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, wow, like, I have a gnarly headache, and I'm getting a little lightheaded, I feel like I need to lay down,
Yeah.
and the wound hurts," and I'm like, "I probably shouldn't be having this pain in this area."
Right, right. That's gotta be so weird to all of a sudden feel something that you haven't felt in years.
It's intense.
Yeah.
It's like a light switch, but it definitely when you get new sensation, it comes through as pain first, and it's so
Mhm.
intense, and then it kinda levels off, and then you get new sensation again, and it comes back as this gnarly pain, and then it levels back off, and then you get more, and it's like but it's crazy because at first, it's so intense, you feel so much, and then
Mhm.
after, like, 4 to 7 days or so, it's like it was barely any addition. It's a little bit, but it's
Yeah.
barely any. And so then you're like, "Well, what the heck? Why I was in so much pain and I felt so much and now I don't feel as much. This is stupid."
Right.
I think the hardest thing about spinal cord injury is the inconsistencies in it.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't trust your body some days and you're just like,
Yeah. Yesterday, that was fine. Why
"Yeah,
isn't it fine
why
today?
isn't fine today?
Yeah. Oh
Where
my
did this
gosh.
come from?"
That's crazy. Do you have normal lubrication?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it's more. So, I was not much of a squirter before, and now sometimes I am. Very normal lubrication. I have
Mhm.
tested my fertility. Fertility is also normal, which is a
Okay.
blessing. And, like, I should be able to conceive and carry besides I have a bicoronary uterus,
Okay.
you know,
The little heart.
forming the heart. So that might cause us some issues, but other than that, like,
Okay.
I'm completely normal, and when it comes to, like, childbirth, I should be able to deliver normal. It's like 50-50. Some get C-sections, some deliver normal. It just depends
Okay.
if you need induced or the whole
Sure.
9. Usually, if you have to be induced, then you're gonna end up needing a C-section in our
Mhm.
situation, and so it's like the whole thing, but not everything functions properly,
Okay.
because I don't have any secondary conditions besides the TBI and the SCI, like,
Yeah.
those are it, and then I have nothing really else from there.
Okay. Do you have anything from the TBI that you see on a regular basis? Do you have trouble finding words or anything like that?
Trouble finding words, trouble controlling my mood,
Oh.
and trouble controlling my words. So sometimes I'll say something that just is completely off the wall, doesn't make sense, and you're like, "Wow, that did not make sense there." And I'm like, "Yeah, that did not make sense there." Yeah, we're both thinking the same
Right.
thing. But a lot of people don't realize it's a brain injury, and, I often forget about it because I have a spinal cord injury. It's apparent. I can't hide it.
Right.
You see it.
Right.
Right? And the brain injury, it's invisible. It's like, people that are in that weird purgatory of being able to walk a little bit short distance, but not like, sometimes they need a wheelchair.
Yeah.
It's that weird purgatory of, like, I look like, my brain functions normal, but my brain doesn't function normal.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really frustrating. I think disabilities that aren't obvious can be really frustrating because of that. Because
Oh, yeah.
people expect you to fully function and fully talk and all the things. And then when you do have a moment where your brain scrambles, they're like, what the hell's wrong with you? And you're like, well, no, no, no. I like legit have this thing.
Like, I have a condition,
right.
not Tourette's, it's just a
Right.
brain injury.
Right. Right. Yes. So tell me about some of the because this men and women listen to this podcast, and I know that you have a lot of different people in your world. How about men with their erections? I know you said one of your partners couldn't ejaculate anymore. What are some things that you see or that the guys experience with spinal cord injury?
So, a lot of times men lose their ability to ejaculate or get an erection on their own. Cathing will stimulate an erection a lot of times. So, when I was first injured, that first paralyzed guy I was with, that's when we would try it is after he cath, and it would be
Mm,
so hard. But then you give it sensation, nothing would happen, and it would go back down. And you're like,
right.
no, come back. And
Yeah.
so that's the other thing, like, a lot of them have to use things to help to get
Mhm.
hard, and then they get hard and there's no release, and so that
Mm,
makes it difficult, but you have places like Craig Hospital's doing something very interesting to help men with spinal cord injuries
okay.
ejaculate. They're using an electric stimulation probe in the
Mhm.
rectum, it's a rectal probe, to help get ejaculation on their own, so they
Mm,
don't have to go in and get the sperm for when they're, doing in vitro.
yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
It's not widely offered, so a lot of
Yeah.
people don't realize that, and so they're doing the more invasive procedure where they're
Mhm.
going in through the testicles to get the sperm, but they could do this electric stimulation in the rectum and rectal stimulation, and that's the one thing, a lot of guys with spinal cord injury need
Mhm.
that to, even get hard and ejaculate,
Okay.
and some have found that it works for
Mhm.
ejaculation, and so what if we just got over the stigma of anal stimulation as a
Right.
man and actually just tried this? Like, you could potentially get that back with your spinal cord injury,
Right.
and I think there's so much like, let's be real, we finger blast our buttholes to poop, like,
Right.
if you finger blast your butthole to poop, you can definitely go ahead and stick a rectal stimulator up there to try and ejaculate.
Right.
I have
Right.
another guy friend who he was incomplete, and so he was able to get an erection, ejaculate, but to ejaculate, they had to move his one leg a certain way to trigger a spasm. So as soon as he'd be like, "Okay, I'm feeling ready," his wife would, like, start moving his leg and rub
That's fantastic. I love it.
be able to get off, and they actually had a kid that way.
That's amazing. And that goes back to like you're saying, you have to have that partner who's your best friend and willing to try things, laugh probably 15 times before you actually get it to work correctly.
Correct.
And that's amazing.
And I think the spinal cord injury, the biggest thing that it taught me is, like, you gotta hold off on sex. Like, you do have to have that deeper connection with a
Mhm.
person to be able to go down that road
Yeah.
because things do happen. Like, you could poop yourself, you could pee
Mhm.
yourself. Those are things that could happen with it, especially when you start messing with anal. Like,
Right.
we don't have control of those muscles, so hey, it's Russian roulette, my friend,
Right.
and, like, that's what
That's
I
right.
always say.
Yes.
'Cause at the end of the day, like, I wanna have a good time, and I'm still a sexual being. I just use a wheelchair, and my legs don't work proper, and,
Right.
those parts work a little bit, and so let's play, let's have a good time.
Yeah. So there's things that you could do certainly, like you could cath yourself prior to sex so that decreases your risk
Mhm.
of peeing on your partner, right? And then the other thing that I was thinking about when you're talking there is in regards to the guys, I have had some spinal cord injury patients come in and learn how to use penile injections.
Yeah.
So
Try
that
Mike,
works
try
really
Mike.
well. Yes, Trimix, we love it. So that works really well because that's just about blood flow. It's not about getting turned on and having your body respond in that way. And it
It's more
generally
effective
lasts.
than Viagra. Like, a lot of guys,
Yes.
the first line of defense typically from the spinal cord injury doctors is Viagra.
Mhm.
And a lot of men that doesn't work for, and I'm like,
Correct.
"Listen, they're gonna try," and so I peer mentor a lot, and, like, when you peer mentor a man, I'm like, "Listen, you wanna learn how to make your dick work?" And he's like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "You heard me. I know you
That's
missed
right.
it." And he's like, "You're right." And I was like, "Listen, they're gonna try and give you Viagra. If that doesn't work, I know this sounds scary, but there's a shot. You put it in the
Mhm.
base of your penis, and it makes it hard. It's called Trimix. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's a wonder worker." So it's like just being willing to have that conversation, then they let their guard down. They're like, "Wait,
Mhm.
what? This is a thing that's possible?"
Yeah.
Like, "Dude, get a penis pump, like, get a cart,
Yes.
get the things,
Yep.
try vibration, try, like, just stimulation of your gooch as a man." And I just
Yep.
wish men were more open to those things because they could have such a different pleasure and
Yeah.
experience if they would just open their mind and not be so closed-minded
Yeah.
about it.
It's very true. And like you said, the penis pump. So there's two different ways to do that. There's the external penis pump, which kind of pulls blood into your penis. You can't use it with the Trimix, but you can use it with Viagra or Cialis. But you can also just use it for exercise. And that's one thing that I've seen spinal cord injury patients come in not necessarily too late, but later than they should have, because we can help keep your length and your girth by getting regular erections with the trimix, with the penis pump. And so, if you're listening and you're a spinal cord patient, like come to us early on because we want you to be able to preserve what you have. And then the other part of it is the implant pump, right? So we literally have internal penis pumps. And pretty cool. They're coming out with Bluetooth models, so you don't even have to pump it yourself. It's gonna be a few years yet, but it's pretty cool. I got to see some of the
That is
it's so cool. I got to see some of the early, parts of it with Boston Scientific, and it's really, really cool. Like, you'll be able to go on an app on your phone and get an erection without having to bend over and, pump the pump.
yeah.
So that's really cool for multiple reasons. For people with spinal cord injuries who maybe can't get to the right thing, right angle, but also for our patients with dexterity issues. It's really good for them too. But the penis pump, essentially, two plastic tubes go where you currently have blood vessels, and you have a fluid reservoir, and then you have the pump in that we put in your scrotum. So when you're ready for an erection, you pump it, and the fluid goes from the reservoir into the tubes in your penis and makes you erect. You can stay erect as long as you want, and then you hit the deflate button, and the fluid leaves the tubes and goes back into the reservoir, and you're flaccid again. It's the coolest thing. It is such a great thing. I work with 2 surgeons that do these, and so I get to do today, I just activated a pump for the guy. I taught him how to use it, him and his wife, and they're amazing, and it's not just for spinal cord patients. We use them a lot in different injuries, different, patients with really severe diabetes or post-prostatectomies. There's a lot of reasons why we use them, but this is one of them. The spinal cord injuries patients can really benefit from that.
It's like, what if we just did it right away and give men that? Because there wouldn't be I have a theory, men, please don't get mad at this, but I have a theory that the reason that men with spinal cord injuries are often so angry and miserable is because their penis doesn't work and they can't ejaculate, and I'm like
Yeah.
it's like, I believe there's 2 things I believe with spinal cord injury. Men should definitely have a penis pump, like, right out the gate. Let's go ahead and get them going,
Yep.
and women should go ahead and get the mitrophin off. Like, if
Yes.
you are cathing, like, I wish that that was offered to me when I was first injured because I probably would have
Mhm.
said yes.
Yeah.
Now I wanna wait until after kids and everything 'cause it is a long recovery process, and I'm
Yeah.
so far into life that I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, "Dude, if I could just cath through my belly button, not pull my pants down, not have to spread my legs, not have to set
Mhm.
up, like, it would save me so much time. It would save me from UTI. There's so much more preventative, and it would save my shoulders getting dressed
Right.
so much."
Yeah.
6 times a day, we're cathing, right?
Right.
And I think that that's not considered a lot. I think the quality of life post-acute care often isn't
Mhm.
considered
Yeah.
until we come to you, right? And then
Right.
it's, "Okay, now what?" And it's like, "Well,
Right.
this long is a recovery time," and I'm like,
Yep.
not in a position in my life to be able to take 2 months off and have someone take
Right.
care of me, like, that's not realistic.
Yeah. One of my surgeons does that procedure too, and so for people who don't know, we basically create a bigger pocket of a bladder and a track that patients can go either, like you said, through your belly button or through the side,
Mm,
of their abdomen, depending on what works best for that patient and their organs and the way that they function. And that way, you, number one, have a larger capacity, so you don't have to cath as often. And you also don't have to try and get to your hoo ha
mm,
when you're trying to cath yourself, because that is very difficult. I have a patient with MS, and she is in a wheelchair and not totally paralyzed, but she really has very little movement left in her lower extremities. And luckily, she has a chair that tilts her back because our office doesn't have Hoyer lifts, which is a whole nother issue. But, she is my most difficult cath. She comes in once a month, we change, she has a chronic catheter. She doesn't do the CIC like you do, but it is physically exhausting for us to do that. And we're doing it to her. That's not even her doing it to herself like what you're doing. So, yeah, this is a great procedure for people who can benefit from it.
and for the tract, I know some doctors use parts of the intestine,
Mhm,
and other doctors are starting to use the appendix, which it's like, that's very interesting too, because they can use your appendix instead of your intestines, which was one of my big drawbacks early on. I was like,
mhm.
"Man, I have a little bit of the ability to push." Like,
Yeah.
sometimes I have the full release too when it comes to bowel. I have more control and sensation of bowel or rectum bowel management than I
Okay.
do bladder. Like, I have
Okay.
a way better bowel management program than I do bladder. My
Yeah.
bladder's spastic, she's sensitive. I didn't take care of her properly in the early days of my injury. So if you're
Yeah.
newly injured and listening to this, make sure you cath properly. I
Yeah.
cannot emphasize that enough. I would go hours and hours, let my
Mm.
bladder way overfill. I'm talking like we were getting 14, 1600. Yeah. And
Whoops.
then I went off bladder meds for a year. Don't do that either because of all the negative side effects. I was like, I just don't want to take any medicine. And
Yeah.
so I stopped taking it at all. And then my bladder shrunk. I could only hold 200.
Mm.
So then I had to go back on meds, re-stretch my bladder
Yeah.
out. It was a whole process. And so don't take your care in your own hands. Find you a good solid urologist that listens
Yeah.
to you and your needs and find good meds. Like my problem was I didn't like the side effects of the oxybutynin and I
Mhm.
just didn't talk to my doctor about that. I was like, I just went off of them. I was like, I'm just done. And instead, when I came back, we got on 2 different meds, Toviaz, Gemtesa, and it's my perfect blend. And so, like,
Yeah.
you also have to be willing learn your body, be
Mhm.
patient with your body, and then especially if you're gonna be sexually active, you need to be eating clean, you need to be
Mhm.
drinking enough water, you need to make sure you're clean cathing, you're wiping around. Like, I
Yep.
cath before, any intercourse, anything like that, just if
Mhm.
I don't wanna pee. I also, as a woman, you could throw a glove on, stick your finger in your vagina. If you feel lumps on the backside of that finger, you need to go ahead and clean out that rectum too, because you don't wanna even do vaginal penetration when you got some
Yeah.
stool in there because that could get pushed out, and so things to consider that has happened to me
Okay.
during sex before, and I definitely started checking after that because I
Yeah.
was like, "Never again." Have
Yeah,
you
that's not exactly what you want to happen.
100%, but if you are gonna be even if you're not gonna be sexually active, if you are cathing yourself, like, it is so important that you
Mhm.
drink enough water, you take care of your
Yes.
nutrition. I love low-for catheters. They help
Yeah.
me with my UTIs, like, I'm telling you, if you want UTI prevention, you have to take care of yourself. There
Mhm.
is no drinking pops and sweet drinks all the time, eating like crap, like, those
Mhm.
days are gone, or you're gonna just deal with chronic health issues, and that's just the kind of the way the cookie's gonna crumble for you.
Yeah, and you don't wanna be the person who's on daily antibiotics to try and
Ugh.
prevent that and stuff, and there are so many different things that you can do for yourself and your own hygiene, but like you said, there's also the catheters, the equipment that you use. The low-FERT catheters are great. They have and I don't get paid by them, but they have great, results. They have low UTIs. They're fabulous catheters, and, so there's different things that you can do to mitigate your risk too so that you're not having those issues. Because yeah, that affects your sex life too, and so then you're talking about lubricants and then you're making sure you're using the right ones and do
Mhm.
not have a lubricant that has 27 different ingredients that you can't pronounce on it, Like you don't need strawberry
No.
lubricant.
No, I found this amazing coconut one, and it's
Mm,
just literally just like a coconut oil and coconut
yeah.
base, and I'm like, it literally has 1 ingredient in it,
Yep.
coconut oil.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "This is great." I think it's called
Yep.
Woo, but I love that one, but I honestly, like, I'm in a place too where I just don't need lubricant because I do take care of myself, I take care of my
Yep.
body, and we're sexual beings.
Mhm.
Human beings, we need human interaction. And so like don't cut yourself off of it just
Mhm.
because you're disabled or you're insecure about
Yeah.
the way you look. Like you can't use that as an excuse. You have to start taking control and action in your life so you can have these things. I see it all
Mhm.
the time where it's like, I wish I could find a partner. I wish I could do this. But it's like, what are you doing to do that? Like leading up to my partner, I spent a lot of time celibate during my
Mm.
paralysis because I was like, because I didn't have sensation for so long,
Mhm.
like, there's no point in me giving my body away. Like, what if and then I also I'm not on birth control. And so I'm like, what if I get pregnant by someone that
Right.
I don't like? So I started asking myself, I'm like, could I raise a kid with this person? And if the answer was no, I was like, all right, we're not gonna have sex.
Yeah.
I'm not
Right?
gonna do it. And, like, ladies, track your cycle, even if you're
Mhm.
on a birth control of types, like, track your cycle, see where it's at,
Mhm.
and make sure you take care of yourself,
Mhm.
and that's how you attract what it is you desire, like, you have to be that quality of person that you desire, and there's so
Yeah.
much more to that human connection than just sex. And so,
Mhm.
like, if you were like me and you put your value in your genitals, like, there's so much more to life than that.
Yeah. And I think one of the things you said earlier too about not always focusing on the orgasm and not always focusing on penetration, but what feels good in that moment? What are you sensing pleasure from at that day? And even those of us that aren't spinal cord injuries, I have likes and dislikes day to day. And so for you guys, you're going to have likes and dislikes, but you're also going to have that extra layer of just what works for your body and doesn't from day to day.
Yeah. Yeah, and how the body's feeling, where it's at, like, it's
Hmm.
crazy because it just changes so much, it's never consistent.
Yeah.
And so you have to just meet yourself where you're at and no expectations. I think that's the other thing is, like,
Hmm.
unfortunately, you cannot trust your body anymore.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can't have expectations, like, we tossed around the idea of scheduling sex, right?
Hmm.
Or I tossed it around, and I'm like the more I thought about it, I'm like, "There's no way I could do that because one day, I might just be in extreme pain, and it's just not gonna happen."
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think too, just pleasure is such a dynamic event. And it doesn't have to culminate in an orgasm, or it doesn't have to culminate in an orgasm for both partners on every session. And I think that just really getting down to this feels good, this doesn't, hey, keep doing this because now I feel closer and more intimate with you in this. Sometimes that's the win.
I think that that's missed, right? It's
Mhm.
because, again, we are society just places these ideas, and I think it stems I think a lot of it stems from social media and porn, and I'm like,
Yes.
porn's so unrealistic, like, I
So
can
unrealistic.
like, I've watched porn probably twice in my life, and it was never for the sexual side, it was just out of curiosity, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"That's weird." Like, it creates this unrealistic expectation, and I know somebody that has a spinal cord injury whose partner later on in their relationship became addicted to porn
Mm.
and started expecting those things out of her, and she's like, "No, thank you. No, thank
Yeah.
you. No, thank you." And I think that's scary in itself too
Mhm.
because it can change your relationship that you've had with somebody for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I definitely I avoid porn personally. I'm like, just focus on taking care of myself, making my man happy, him making me
Yeah.
happy. Like, I'm a big cuddler. I just want to be
Mhm.
cuddled. I'm like, I don't even care about the sex, just cuddle me.
Yeah. And it's important to know that about yourself because it is that there is so much intimacy in cuddling.
Yeah. Oh, there's just so much love. And I think it's men often just don't realize. It's like, hey, that's actually big love. Let me get some of
Right, right, exactly, exactly, it's amazing, yes. So, I do wanna call attention to the fact that you have written a book,
I
Power in the Role. Yes, I have it, it's here, if you're on YouTube, you can see it, otherwise, if you're listening, it is a beautiful picture of her flexing her muscles in her wheelchair, and tell us about your book.
Oh my gosh, so it's my memoir. It talks about my life actually before I was born and how I was kind of destined to be wheels on wheels from the womb. And I talk about my struggle with sex addiction. I got pregnant at 15, had an abortion,
Mhm,
and I dive into that a lot. And just the lessons that I learned from it through
mhm,
reflection. And my goal is just to help somebody, one, forgive themselves if they went through a similar path, but two, realize that just because society will call us a whore or hoe,
mhm,
but a man can go and do the same thing. It's okay. You're not those things, and it doesn't have to define you. And it's just, I think the biggest lesson from the book is it's never too late to turn your life around. And
mhm.
you don't need something traumatic like a spinal cord injury
Right.
to happen to you to do that. But I talk about my time in the hospital, finding out I lost sensation, and then how I move forward from that and the amazing experiences I've got to have and the way I pushed myself to just get out of my comfort zone and do something way different than I did when I could walk. And so I've
Yeah.
done 15 Tough Mudders. I've done their
Wow.
24-hour event 4 times, 5 CrossFit games. I was on the U.S. developmental team for wheelchair curling. I've traveled the country. I've drove to California and back by myself 4 times now.
Wow.
And I just dive into all that because if I didn't get paralyzed, none of that would have happened. I would have
Right.
never had the balls essentially to do any of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And you also do amazing work. You have a foundation, you have companies. So tell us a little bit about the different avenues that you're helping spinal cord patients with.
Yes. So I first and foremost, I do one-on-one coaching and I have a community program and that's the most fulfilling for me. The community is amazing. Right now I think there's 7 of us in there and we have a mindset call and a community workout each week. And it's just really cool because we get together, relate. I have a fitness app for wheelchair users. It's called Wheel With Me Adapt Fit. It's a downloadable app in the iOS store, Google Play Store. I also have a nonprofit called Wheel With Me Foundation. We have an annual summer camp for wheelchair users. And then we also do quarterly empowerment weeks where we teach our skill, trade, and share information about living with a spinal cord injury, and whether it's how to be an actor, how to be an advocate, how to have sex, all the above. And so we like to share it all on that platform quarterly,
Mhm.
completely free. And then I just launched a peptide company called Find Your Peak State. It's Peak State Peptides, and we're just here to serve, help reduce inflammation, and help spinal cord injury survivors' shoulders feel a little better
Mm.
without surgery is the goal. And just trying to give that little bit of repair and that little boost where our bodies just don't function like they should.
Yeah. That's amazing. I just enjoy you so much. Every time I get to
Yeah.
see you and talk to you, it's just such a blessing to have you in my life.
But it's
And
so
I just think that your vulnerability and your ability to just open up and share with people, it's such a refreshing, honest look at things, and not everybody's willing to do that. So I really appreciate that about you.
well, thank you. I know there's some moments I definitely, being a online personality or whatever, I once shared a video and it was like one of those trends where it's like, "Oh, you think you can hurt me?" And I was like, I got on the back of the bike with someone I was using for sex, and my sex addiction landed me paralyzed or something like that. And someone's like, "So you were having sex on the bike?" And it was like a bunch of men, right? Just
Right.
being dumb. And I'm like, it's okay. The video went viral. It has like 2 million views. I'm like,
Oh my
this is not there's a bunch of men telling me how I'm stupid and I shouldn't blame but I'm like, had I not been using that person for sex, I was in a relationship with somebody and I just cheated on them. Like, I've never been in a
Yeah.
relationship where I haven't cheated on the person. This is my first, like, true, genuine relationship in my life.
Healthy. Yeah.
Very healthy. And, like, the first time I'm not looking for something else, but I was always
Hmm.
looking for something else, looking for that next fix. It feels good to be on the healed side of it, and that's why I'm so cool and candid talking about it because 'cause I'm like,
Yeah.
"Listen, there you're not gonna say anything worse than I've ever said to myself."
Yeah. Do you have any contact with that person anymore that
Oh,
you were on the bike with? No. No.
no, he was the neighbor's nephew, at my parents' house,
Okay.
and after I got hurt, the neighbor told me to get over it, and my mom
Oh,
got really upset about that. She put an 8-foot fence between the houses.
Mom,
I know,
that's great.
she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna put a wall." She calls it the wall. It was during Donald Trump's first term, so she
Ugh,
kept saying, "I'm building a wall."
I love it. Go,
Oh,
mom.
dude, she's so funny.
Yeah.
So she calls it her wall. I honestly, I just respect my mom, and so I was like, "I'm cool. I'm not
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I don't need like, we're 2 different people now, 2 different
Yep.
paths."
Yep. Absolutely. Jesse, thank you so much for being on here. And I will put all of your information in the show notes so people can be in touch with you and follow you. And I just really appreciate you and your candidness and your vulnerability here today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And if you gain some value from this, or there's someone that comes to mind as you're listening that could get value from this, please share it with them. Share this with
Yeah.
a friend. Stephanie's out here doing the dang thing, and that's how she grows. That's how her show grows. And so, if you want to support her and truly support her to the fullest, please share this episode with somebody directly that can benefit from it. If you want to find me, it's at Jesi Stracham. It looks like Stracham, and it's just Jesi, Jesi. That is my full legal name.
How
It's
many
not,
times a day do you get asked that?
oh gosh, I get called Jessica all the time, and I'm like, it's literally just Jesi, Jesi. Like, please, it's not Jessica. But yeah, give me a follow, send me a message, let's chat it up. And if you want to join anything, just let me know. I'm here with all the things.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Jesse. I really appreciate you. All
Oh,
right, everybody, go have a great week and go have some fun between the sheets. Thank you for joining us and exploring sexual health topics here on Between the Sheets. New episodes are available every Wednesday. Please subscribe and rate our podcast so we can reach more listeners. And don't forget to tell your friends, partners, and anyone who will listen about Between the Sheets. Send any comments, questions, or stories to podcastbetweenthe.sheets@gmail.com. It's all one word, podcastbetweenthe.sheets@gmail.com. Thanks for listening and go have some fun between the sheets.